Hey guys, Kakarot197 again. This time with a review of the 1/44 scale high-grade Universal Century Gundam Mark II plus flying armor from the Zeta Gundam anime series. And this thing was a Christmas gift from my girlfriend, so thanks for that. When it comes to the looks, I absolutely love the proportions of the older high-grade Universal Century. For me, it's the perfect blend between retro and new aesthetics with an overall clean anime look to it. Well, at least it would have been clean if it hadn't been for those pesky seam lines. Fortunately, you won't find any of those on the flying armor. It's also a bit more detailed than its anime counterpart, making it feel more like an actual aircraft. But at the same time, it's also not too detailed to make it look out of place next to the Mark II. As for stickers, we get two dark gray ones for the leading edges of the wings, and then on the Mark II we get the usual eye stickers and front and back camera stickers. And with that, the flying armor is completely color accurate, and the Mark II mostly. You just have to paint the hips and some details on the bottom of the feet gray, and then add some detail to the thrusters and the pipes to make them pop. As for the weapons, we'll get to them shortly. First of all, let's have a closer look at the flying armor. Try as you might, you won't find any landing gear, but fortunately, when you remove this cover, it will reveal a hole for the included action base. The cool thing is that it can move up and down for a variety of poses, but on the flip side, this is a proprietary action base and none of the commercially available ones can hook up to the flying armor, at least not out of the box. But most importantly, it does give the flying armor enough stability to pull off some really cool poses with your Mark II. One thing to note here is that there are supposed to be handles for the Mark II to hold on to, but there's nothing here. Instead, you simply slide the hands into it and pretend. It's an understandable compromise. And talking about compromises, let's have a look at the other accessories. Starting off with the weapons already on the mobile suit, we get two beam sabers on the backpack, and despite having holes for beam saber blades, we get the amazing molded into the hand beam saber toothpick of doom. Good luck with masking this if you want to use it, but I would recommend throwing it out and grabbing some beam saber blades from another kit instead. Yes, the sabers are a bit loose in the hands, but they won't fall out because both ends are thicker. Also, keep in mind that there is no right holding hand, just the trigger finger hand. Then for his extra weaponry, we get to the Vulcan pod that slides onto the head and does look a bit bulky for what it is. Also, the whole thing has to be painted black with a little bit of green for the sensor and red for this circle. Then we get the iconic Mark II beam rifle with the typical simple high-grade construction. Basically, two halves slapped together, which unfortunately means that the cartridge is non-removable. We do get a movable handle, and it does fit into the hand very well. For painting, we'll have to paint the top black and the sensor green. Next up is the Hyper Bazooka, and just as with the beam rifle, the construction is again very simple and again no removable cartridge. But the handle does move, making poses so much easier, and it also fits very well into both hands, meaning that the Mark II is capable of dual wielding despite only having a right trigger finger hand. And when you don't want to use the bazooka, you can simply store it onto the backpack. As for painting, the barrel should be painted white and the rest black. And finally, we get to the Mark II's shield, which has the ability to transform into a so-called collapsed mode. To hook it up to the arm, you simply attach this brace and then attach it to the side or onto the back. And with a little bit of yellow here and some detailing on the inside, it is perfect. And if you don't want to have the shield on the Mark II, you can also store it on the flying armor instead. And now let's see how the articulation of this old high grade holds up. The head is on a single ball joint, so it goes a bit up and down and rotates around all the way. The shoulders were pretty cool for the time, going up and down in addition to going forwards and backwards. The arms of course also rotate around all the way and rotate around below the shoulder. The elbow is unfortunately only on a single joint for a 90-degree bend, and the hands are on the usual ball joints. The waist is on a peg and will rotate around about this much. And then on the back we find another really cool feature. The ball jointed top thrusters are now fully articulated thanks to the use of a mesh pipe. And this is something no other high-grade Mark II kit has. The front skirts are molded together but can be separated and give the legs a nice forwards movement, and even though the back skirt isn't, they still go backwards quite far. They also go outwards nicely and will rotate around a bit on those ball-jointed hips. The knees are double jointed, but we only get a bit over 90 degrees, even though it does look like more. Then on the feet, we get movable ankle armor, a single ball joint that takes care of most of the movement, and a cool toe joint to round things up. So overall, the articulation of the Mark II has held up pretty well and is still perfectly serviceable today, which is not something you can say for all older high grades. Back in the day, this was some seriously top tier articulation. Keep in mind that the base Mark II was released before the NT1 Alex that everyone seems to hate so much. And since we got that cool new mesh piping for the backpack, that also means that we get the old pieces as leftovers. So as always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? And for 2,000 yen, this is a total yes. You get a sub-flight system with an action base and a really cool version of the Gundam Mark II. At the time, this was an absolutely killer deal, and even today, there's still a very good reason to get this. Other than the P Bandai, this is the only way to get that sleek flying armor, and as I've said before, the Mark II has aged remarkably well. And it's really cool to see that a remold that came out only a couple of years later actually improved upon the base model. But now we get to the real question. With so many Mark IIs in 1/44 scale, which one should you get? At also 2,000 yen, there's the Super Gundam, who is, I think, the best bang for your buck. Then at 2,500 yen, there's the Real Grade, which is the most detailed and most badass looking. And then at 1,500 yen, there's the Revive version, who's better at a technological level than the high grade, but has absolutely atrocious leg proportions in my opinion. And then the rabbit hole goes even deeper with the special coating version, hello nub marks, and the Griffios War set, which has an amazing color scheme and extra marking decals. The struggle is real, and it's made even worse by the simple fact that, other than the special coating version and its nub marks, you can't really go wrong with any of these. So then, for some more size comparisons, here he is next to two Titans kits released at about the same time, the Gapland and the Marasai. And finally, here he is next to the standard size Gym Custom and the always bulky Zaku 3. And that's all for this review. Thanks to my girlfriend for getting this for me, and as always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope all of you watching have a great day, and I'll see you all next time.